Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about the Intro Travel Epic Asia group tour. I recently did a 4-month solo backpacking trip and I started that trip off with the Epic Asia tour. Thought it would be a good idea to just talk about it in more detail because I've had lots of questions about the tour itself. Talk about my experience, what I enjoyed, what it covers, is it worth it, all of that jazz. So this could be a long video, I don't know. But yeah, let's get into it and I hope you guys enjoy. Epic Asia is 38 days, which is about 5.5 weeks, and it covers Thailand, Vietnam and Cambodia. We've got the trip notes up on my iPad. You may have heard of Intro Travel. There are loads and loads of different tour companies out there. Intro Travel is the one that I decided to book with and go with in the end. I just felt that the tour covered what I wanted to do and included things that make sense. I did actually do a backpacking Q&A where I spoke about this a little bit, so I will leave that linked below if you are interested in hearing a little bit more about the trip. I booked this trip back in 2021, like nearly a year in advance, and I'm glad I did because the price has increased a lot. That's one thing I will say. It is an expensive trip. It's obviously going to be more expensive doing something like a group tour than doing it all by yourself. Like, you definitely could do the trip cheaper. Currently, the Epic Asia trip is saying it's from £3,199. So if you are interested, I would definitely book it sooner rather than later because I paid nearly £1,000 less than this 1.5 years ago. But I think a group tour is a really great way if you don't have much time, because it fits a lot into a short period of time, which you might struggle to do if you were just doing it by yourself. It also organises everything, like you don't have to think about anything at all, and I think it's also a great trip if you've never travelled before, or by yourself. So for me, I was going to be by myself, having never even got a plane by myself before, so it was quite a big deal, and I felt that doing a group tour would just give me a bit of confidence and teach me a little bit about these different cultures, because I think it would have been a bit of a shock if I had landed by myself and then had to figure it out. I arrived a day before the trip started just to like get over the jet lag, accustom myself with the area, and I just didn't know what to do with myself, so I just didn't do anything. And I'm so glad that I did this, because once I then went off by myself, I felt so ready to go and do the trip, and I felt so ready to go and book things by myself, to go get a taxi, to get on a plane, like to do all of this. It came easy once I had experienced that little safety net of a group. So the Epic Asia, as I said, it's 38 days, about 5.5 weeks. You start off in Bangkok and you finish in Siem Reap in Cambodia. Split up into 3 different tours. So yes, you're booking Epic Asia, but actually some people will have only booked just Thailand, just Vietnam, just Cambodia. 7 of us in total who did the whole Epic Asia trip, and then there was about 22 people in Thailand, 22 people in Vietnam, 20 people in Cambodia. So it was like a big group. So some people had just booked to do Thailand, just booked to do Vietnam, just booked to do Cambodia. I'm just going to break down the trips themselves just in case it makes more sense. In Epic Asia, there were some people in our Thailand group who were just doing 9 days, so they left us after Koh Phangan and they went off then to Koh Tao and they did diving on top of that. So they were only with us for 9 days. We said bye to them after 9 days. There was then another group of people who were with us from the beginning, and then they left after 12 days in Thailand. So they did the Thai intro, which is 12 days, and they left us after PP. So we said goodbye to them. We were like, bye guys, see you after PP. We did actually end up meeting up. So they all went to Phuket at a different time as us, and we all met up with them. But yeah, that's not a normal thing. So that's 2 different trips. And then there was also Thai intro 18 days, which is the full part of the Thailand trip. So us Epic Asias, we did the Thai intro, which is 18 days. 2 other guys who were booked onto just the Thai intro, so they did all of it, which means you finish in Chiang Mai. So you could just pick to do one of those Thailand tours and that's it. That's fine, you don't have to do any others. Oh yeah, so the first one was the Thai intro and dive. So you've got Thai intro and dive, which is 13 days. So that's finish in Koh Phangan and then go to Koh Tao to dive. Okay, so Vietnam is split into 2 different trips. You can either do the Vietnam intro, which is 9 days, or Vietnam intro, which is 12 days. We did 12 days in the Epic Asia, and that is what everyone else did. There was no one booked onto the 9 days, everyone was booked onto the 12 days. I think if you are going to Vietnam, I think it is worth the little bit extra money to do the 12 days, but it's up to you obviously what you do. So Cambodia is 10 days and that is the only one they do. Epic Asia is 18 days in Thailand, 12 days in Vietnam, 9 days in Cambodia. Some of those days kind of cross over, so your final day in Vietnam is your first day in Cambodia, your final day in Thailand is your first day in Vietnam, but you know, whatever. They do also do a couple of other trips which some people were booked onto. So a lot of people who did Vietnam and Cambodia, they were booked onto the Vietnam and Cambodia, which is 21 days, which is the second part of Epic Asia. This is kind of confusing, but I will leave a link to the website so you can take a look and figure it out yourself. But yeah, so our group tour, there were 7 of us who did the whole thing Epic Asia, and then there were multiple people who did just Thailand, just Vietnam, just Cambodia, or Vietnam and Cambodia combined. All varying prices, you've just kind of got to look at what's going to make sense for you. Okay, so what is included in Epic Asia? All of your transport is included. Once you've got your flight there, that's it. This isn't including your flight there or your flight home, but it does include 3 internal flights. Well, not internal. Are they internal? I don't know. You've got loads of minibuses. You're in a minivan all the time. As a group, it just makes sense to be in a minivan a lot of the time. You get a train in Cambodia. You get an overnight train in Thailand, an overnight train in Vietnam. You've got an overnight bus in Cambodia. You've got tuk-tuks. You do a tuk-tuk ride in Thailand, and I think a couple maybe in Vietnam or Cambodia. I can't remember. You've got 3 plane rides. You've got a plane from Phuket to Chiang Mai to Hanoi, and Hoi An to Ho Chi Minh. You've also got 25 breakfasts, 14 lunches and 6 dinners included. This can vary slightly depending on the hotels that they end up staying in. So some of the hotels we stayed in were different to ones they'd stayed in on a previous tour because there had been issues. But pretty much averages out to be about 25 breakfasts, 14 lunches and 6 dinners, and they all kind of make sense. So some of the hotels have breakfast included, so you've got your breakfast included. You might do an overnight jungle trip. There's not going to be anywhere to buy food, so your breakfast, lunch and dinner is included. So it does just kind of make sense. If you're going out to restaurants, it's not included. Yeah, it's a pretty decent amount. So it says the group size is between 4 and 22 people. Speaking to the guides, the average amount of people tends to be about 20, 22. You would rarely find a group at 4 for this trip. This trip is very busy, it's very popular, and it's the most run, like Thailand in particular is their most run group. So you would be very unlucky, and it would be very unlikely for you to get a group size of 4. Age range, on here it says 18 to 39, but actually you can kind of be any age as long as you're over 18. There was a huge variety of ages, so there were some 18-year-olds. I would say the average age was probably about 23, but there were different age ranges. There were couples, there were friends, there were solo travelers. I think the oldest was like 42 or something. There was a huge range, but the average I'd say was about 23. Yeah, 23, just finished uni or had a few years off since uni. And that kind of tended to be the average age. Local fees, none. Yeah, so you don't have to pay any of the port fees, the village fees, all of that is included already in the cost. Things that aren't included are things like visas. You don't need, at least if you're from the UK, you won't need a visa for Thailand, Vietnam either, or you get it when you get there. And Cambodia, they will help you sort your visa, so you don't have to worry about any of that if you're from the UK. If you're not from the UK, I don't know how it works, and I can't advise you on that, unfortunately. Okay, I'm gonna go through the inclusions. I might not stop for breath. Personal airport pickup to the hotel 24/7. So I arrived at about 5:30 a.m. and they were there to pick me up, which was great. 37 nights of accommodation, and they are all in like hotels. None of them are in like hostel style dorm rooms. You do have a couple which are maybe like in the jungle, but that's a bit different. 45 meals, all transport, a group leader. So how the group leaders work is you have your group leader. So you have one for Thailand, one for Vietnam, and one for Cambodia. So for us, our Thailand group leader was British and he was 25. We then had he was Vietnamese in Vietnam and he was 30. I might be lying. And then in Cambodia, she was British, but she could speak, I never say it right, Khmer, and she was 24, I want to say. And then if you're doing specific day trips, you will then have a local guide who will have a bit more information and can tell you a little bit more, because if you're from the UK, it's unlikely that you're going to have loads and loads of knowledge. Help with onward travels. So if you are looking to buy a train or a bus, or you need help with getting a taxi, your group leader is there to help you book any of that. So you've got a river cruise and ancient temples in Thailand, you've got Thai cooking class, staying at the Khao Sok National Park in a floating bungalow, you've got kayaking, tubing, island trips, snorkeling, Mai Tai or yoga, or you can do both, which I did both. And you get a Thai massage on the beach. Oh, it's amazing. PP Islands experience and viewpoint, Monkey Beach, jungle ziplining, an overnight hill tribe trek in the jungle, bamboo river rafting, an elephant sanctuary, Chiang Mai markets, nightlife. That's all Thailand. Thailand, you get a lot for your money. Vietnam, you've got a walking and rickshaw tour, overnight boat trip on Halong Bay with like a 10-course meal, cycling in Ninh Binh, kayaking, local homestay, rice paddies and a riverboat cruise, Dragon Mountain viewpoint, a Vietnamese cooking class, visiting local markets, basket boat, crab fishing and being spun around like a maniac, lantern making class, Coochie tunnels tour, traditional mud fishing, Mekong Delta. Then in Cambodia, you've got a local village visit, you've got a tuk-tuk tour of Phnom Penh, the S21 prison and killing field tour, pepper plantation, Khmer cooking class and river cruise, Koh Rong island boat trip, snorkeling, good food, sunset, music, floating village, Angkor Wat sunrise temple tour. There's obviously a few other like random small things included, but that is like the main list of things that you will be doing, which is really great. It includes a lot. The main like route, you start in Bangkok for days 1 to 3, you then head down to Khao Sok National Park for day 4, then Koh Phangan for days 5 to 8, PP Islands days 9 to 11, then to Phuket for day 12, and then to Chiang Mai for days 13 to 17. Then you fly over to Hanoi for days 18 and 19. You then got Halong Bay for day 20, Ninh Binh for days 21 and 22, down to Hoi An for days 23 and 25, to Ho Chi Minh for day 26, to the Mekong Delta for 27, back to Ho Chi Minh for 28, then heading over to Cambodia. So you've got Phnom Penh for days 29 and 30, Kampot for 31 and 32, to Koh Rong Sam Loem for 33 and 35, then to Siem Reap for days 36 and 38, and then that is where the tour ends. One of my personal highlights was floating bungalows and Khao Sok National Park. That was amazing. I loved Chiang Mai as well. Everything in Chiang Mai I loved. Vietnam, I loved Hoi An in Vietnam. That was so nice. I'm not gonna go through the full itinerary, but I will upload a picture here of the itinerary, so screenshot it, take a look at it if you would like. It gives you a kind of rough estimate about the things on there, but not loads of information. It gives you a rough breakdown and it tells you where you're going to get your breakfast, lunches and dinners. It's then got your accommodation guide. So as I said, none of the accommodation is like hostel style dorm rooms. They are all hotels, mostly with single beds or double beds. You won't be sharing a double bed with a stranger, probably. It happened to me once, but it was the end of the trip and she was no longer a stranger, so it was fine. If you're a couple, you can request to be in a room together, so you'll have your double bed, and if you're friends already, you can request to be in a room together. So there were a couple groups of friends who did request to be in rooms together, but most people were solo, and we just kind of were put in rooms with everyone. We switched around who we were with, which is great. And then once you got along with someone, you just kind of could be stuck with them if you wanted to. This is making my voice so dry. Pretty much all of the rooms have aircon, they're all clean. They pretty much, I think they all have en-suites. So you're good, you're gonna be okay. The worst places to sleep were the overnight trains, honestly. They weren't great. Actually, the overnight bus was the worst. I'm gonna read through their FAQs and I will see if they match up. So the first one is, do many people travel alone? And I would say yeah. We had, as I said, I think there was only one couple and they were on the Epic Asia, and that was Matthew and Lizzie. And then there was a group of 3 friends in Thailand. They were from Iceland. And there was a group of 4 friends also from Iceland, but they didn't know each other. Then in Vietnam there was 2 friends who knew each other. I don't think anyone else knew each other. I think everyone else was solo. So yeah, pretty much everyone is solo. There were majority girls, there weren't many boys. There were a few boys in Thailand. Vietnam, no boys apart from Matthew, he was in the couple. And Cambodia, there was 1 other boy. There were mostly girls, but I have seen a lot of other people's trips with more boys, so I think it is just like hit and miss. Can I chat to my group before I leave? Yes and no. There's a Facebook page, so you can add the Facebook page, and I made a post saying I'm going on the Epic Asia starting this date, and then I had a few people message and say me too, and we made a little group chat. So we spoke a few times. We would talk about like what we're packing in our bag, are we nervous, blah blah blah, but honestly we didn't talk much and we didn't meet many people at all on there. There were like 5 or 6 of us in the group chat, and there were like 22 of us in Thailand or something. So you do have it, like there is a chance, but not everyone has Facebook, not everyone is going to see a post and add you. So yes and no. When is the best time to visit Southeast Asia? This one says it can occasionally get cold, especially in the north of Vietnam between November and February. Most of the year is fine. So I went in what I would say is a pretty good time of the year. So my trip started on the 18th of February. It was perfect for Thailand. We maybe had like 1 afternoon of rain, I think. Like it really didn't rain at all in Thailand. And it was warm but not too warm. It was sunny most of the time. Vietnam, it was a little bit chilly up north to begin with. But not freezing. It was like 24 degrees, which is fine. And by the time we got south, it was hot. It was cloudy, but it didn't really rain. It rained like again 1 evening, I think. And other than that, like it was great. And Cambodia, it was hot, but we had great weather again. I don't think it rained at all in Cambodia. So I feel like from February to start the trip is pretty good timing. Because you're going to miss wet season for all of those countries. How much spending money will I need? So on here they say all your activities, accommodation and transport, some meals are included. So you just need money for some of your other meals, drinks, any shopping and onward travel. So they recommend to bring at least £1,000 spending money. I spent £600 in total on all of my food and drinks. I had £100 worth of clothes made in Vietnam. I spent about £70 posting clothes home. Yeah, and I spent £600, and I wouldn't say I was like, I definitely drank less than most other people, but I had a cocktail at least every day, pretty much. And then I'd buy buckets and stuff in Thailand. Thailand I drank the most. I didn't drink as much in the other countries because I just didn't feel the need to. So yeah, obviously you're going to need more money if you drink a lot, but if you don't drink, like £600 will be plenty. And I bought a few different bits. I bought a couple gifts, I bought a shit shirt, and I had plenty of money, like that was fine. But I do know a couple people, like a couple of the guys, drank a lot in Thailand, and they probably spent more than that in just Thailand. So it's kind of up to you. I had enough extra anyway, like I could have spent more. I just didn't. I didn't. Okay, what plugs do they use? I would say bring a universal travel adapter. Because Thailand and Vietnam are ever so slightly different. Thailand fits great if you have like the European plugs. They will fit great in the Thai plugs, but they will fall out of the ones in Vietnam. So I would get a universal one. It just makes your life so much easier. How will I access my money while I'm away? They recommend getting a travel card. I would recommend getting a travel card, but I would recommend using cash. Thailand, we pretty much only... Thailand, there were a few places that you could pay with card, but like Cambodia, always cash. Vietnam, pretty much always cash. So I had a Starling and I had a Monzo. I only used my Starling. Starling just had the better options for getting money out, so I would just use my Starling to get my money out and then pay with cash. Occasionally I'd pay with card, but it would pretty much always be cash. So in Thailand you've got, why have I just forgotten Thai money? Vietnam you've got Vietnamese dong. In Cambodia you've got Cambodian real. Oh, why has it gone from my head? Baht, Thai baht. Okay, there we go. Is there Wi-Fi? Yes, there is really good Wi-Fi for most of the trip. I would recommend getting a local SIM card when you get there, either from the airport or from 7-Elevens, that kind of thing. But pretty much all of the hotels had Wi-Fi, but I didn't use it. I used my SIM card. I had so much fast 4G on my phone with my SIM cards that I actually didn't need to use the Wi-Fi very often at all. So, you know, there's that. I'm trying to remember, but you don't have Wi-Fi when you're in the jungle or signal, and I don't think you have Wi-Fi or signal at Khao Sok National Park, although last day we did actually find a Wi-Fi code that worked. So what luggage do you recommend? They recommend traveling with a backpack and packing light, about 10 to 20 kilograms. I agree. Get a backpack and aim for about 15 kilograms max. Mine was 20. I don't know how. I think it was about 19 when I left to go traveling and 20 when I came home. Don't know how. I think my bag was just a heavy bag. So try and find a lightweight bag. I really loved my bag because it was very convenient, but it was a heavy bag. And I think things like the Osprey bags are quite a light bag, so that would be probably my recommendation. That was a bag that most people did use. So definitely have a look into them. I would recommend about a 65 litre, but I wouldn't recommend any bigger than 65. I think it's just too much stuff. I don't think you need it. COVID travel requirements. There was nothing to do with COVID while I was traveling. I didn't need to worry about any of that at all, which is great. So yeah, that is kind of all of their questions. Intro have a thing about small changes, helping the environment. So they offer refillable water bottles that you can buy. Pretty much all of the hotels they stay in have a water fountain for you to fill up with your water, so you don't have to be buying water bottles that much. I brought this 750ml water bottle with me, and for my whole trip, I think in Thailand I bought 2 or 3 water bottles. Vietnam I don't think I bought any, and Cambodia I don't think I bought any. So really, like, you're great, you're fine. It's very different to how it used to be like 10 years ago. You're gonna find water everywhere. You may have to occasionally buy some water bottles, but on the whole everywhere has got free water for you to fill up, which is really great. They have a thing with protecting the environment, supporting local communities, and just like acceptance with different cultures and races, which I think is really, really great. And when you book with Intro, they plant 10 trees. Yeah, 10 trees for every Intro booking. So do I think the trip is worth it? And to sum it all up, yeah, I do think it's worth it. I just had the best time. Like, I met the best group of people, some of which I can now call really good friends, who I hope to see again. I'm seeing some in a couple weeks, so that's really nice. So people wise, it was definitely worth it. The group leaders were all lovely. Andrew in particular was a great group leader. He was our Taiwan, and we all got along really well with him, and he actually joined us for a few days in Vietnam, which is really nice. And you do just like make friends with people, especially as they're similar ages mostly, so it is really nice. I don't know, it just is a really nice feeling getting to spend so much time together, because you do get to know people really well compared to when you're backpacking by yourself. It's in and out, meeting new people, saying goodbye to people, whereas on a group tour you're with each other for so long, so you do bond differently, and that's really nice. Another reason I think it's worth it is because as a female solo traveller, it was just a really good way to ease me into the trip, and a lot of people in my group were the same. Like, they'd never travelled by themselves before, it was something they'd wanted to do, and it was a way of getting into it. Yes, it's a lot of money, and I think now, seeing the price point of it now, I would maybe think about it a bit more than I did before, because an extra £1,000 is a lot of money. What I will say is have a look online, because there are always discounts. I got 10% off when I booked mine, so yeah, definitely have a look for discounts, because 10% on this price makes a big difference. And the only reason I probably wouldn't want to book another tour like this is because now I've done it myself, I know how to do it, and I know what it's like. I would be really interested in booking another trip if I was just going for a short time. So if I was going to go for 4 months again, I probably wouldn't book another trip, but that's because I've done it. I don't need to do it again. But if I was only going for 2 weeks, I would maybe be interested in booking a trip so I can fill my time and do as much as possible in that time. One of the trips I'm really looking into doing is I really want to do the Sri Lanka one, because that looks really good. But a lot of people did this trip and also then booked to go do a Philippines trip or a Sri Lanka trip or Bali trip. So yeah, there's loads of options with Intro, there's so many different ones, but Epic Asia, for what you do and what you get, I definitely think it is worth it. It is a lot of money, and not everyone can afford that, and that's okay. I feel very lucky to say that I could go on this trip, because it was just the time of my life. If you have any questions about Intro or this trip, Epic Asia, please just send me a message on Instagram or leave it in the comments. My Instagram's in the description. I will also leave a link to my playlist from the Intro trip, and my travel diaries, because I did have a great time, I can't lie. Oh my god, it's actually crazy that it was so long ago that I went on this trip. It was February, it's now July. 5 months ago I started that trip. Wow. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should talk about. Oh yeah, another thing, if you want to book the trip, you can book it undated if you don't know when you want to book it, and I think that like keeps it, yeah. So you could book it now and pay the money, but not actually book the trip for another like 2 years, and it will keep the price the same. But yeah, so you can book on it. There's so many start dates. Like, I'm filming this, let's say for August, maybe, yeah, August, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 different dates you can start this trip. So they're always going on, and sometimes you go to a new place and it's another group tour's last day there. So that happened for us in Koh Phangan. It was our first day in Koh Phangan and the previous tour's last day in Koh Phangan, and we actually crossed over on a night out, which was so nice, because we got to meet more people, and we met another of the group leaders there, which was really cool. Yeah, highly recommend. A really great trip, an expensive one, but such a great way of doing everything and not having to worry at all. Like, that was the one thing I did love about it, was I would be told, it was the evening and they'd go, okay, breakfast at 9:30, we're getting picked up at 10:30, make sure you have all your bags ready. And that's all I had to worry about. I didn't have to think one bit, which was great. Some really great memories from the trip. Yeah, as I said, any more questions, just let me know. I'll answer them as best as I can, and I will see you guys very soon with another video. Bye. bye.